I fear that the sport of scuba diving as we know it may be circling the drain. What we have is a multi-million-dollar sport comprised of ma and pa industries, which is the economic equivalent of building a great big castle on pillars of salt and sand. The pandemic, the COVID-19 disaster, we can call it that, will bankrupt many, many more people than it kills. And we're already starting to see the effects in the dive industry, a non-essential industry. Here in South Florida, charter boat operators are being forced into a position where they have to choose between abiding by the law and their business surviving. It's an incredibly tough spot. And then globally, travel and tourism didn't just slow down, it stopped dead. And for everyone around the world experiencing economic hardship, buying luxury items like dive gear and dive travel are going to go right to the bottom of the list for a very long time to come. So how do we save scuba? Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? Welcome to Divers Ready. My name's James. It is so great to see all of your smiling faces out there. I hope you're all staying safe. If you're new to this channel, make your next dive on our subscribe button. Click that little bell icon and that way you'll never miss any of our content. I'm a dive professional and digital content creator, and I make videos with one simple goal in mind, and that's to help make you a better scuba diver. This week, I'm going to be highlighting what I believe are three big challenges for the dive industry that have been amplified but not created by the COVID-19 pandemic, and changes that I feel are necessary to the way that we do business in order for our sport to survive and grow. Now, you'll see on social media there's been a lot of like, yeah, we've got to save scuba diving, hashtag dive strong, and that's all great for the warm and fuzzies, and we can bat those terms around. But hashtag isn't actually going to save our sport. It's moronic to think it is. What we need is actual change. So let's look at some real world solutions. Whew, heavy stuff, man. Heavy stuff. Challenge number one is attracting and retaining new divers. Now, again, this isn't a problem that COVID-19 created. I just think it's one that it amplified. I think we've been going backwards in this sport for way longer than this virus has been around. Give you an example of what I mean. Go to any chat room, any forum, scuba board, the like, look at any thread, and all you're going to see is bickering, sarcasm, infighting, this I'm right and you're wrong mentality, this wreck versus cave, this agency versus that agency, this gear configuration over that gear configuration, I'm right and you're wrong mentality. This bitching and infighting, I'm just so sick to death of it. Imagine you're not a diver. Imagine you're someone who's contemplating getting into the sport. So what do you do when you want to learn something new? You go to the internet and you find the chat rooms and the forums and the Reddit threads and the groups and so on, and you try to find out information about how to get into the sport. And all you're confronted with is just this barrage of people bickering and infighting like some kind of angry knitting circle. Why would anyone be attracted to our sport? I used to be a supporter of scuba board. I don't even go on there anymore. I can't take it. If you're outside of scuba diving looking in, you think that the sport was solely comprised of grumpy middle-aged white guys. And let me tell you, that is not a good message to project for the future of our sport to attract new people. I loved Jill Heiner's latest book, Into the Planet, but whilst I found it mostly inspirational, I was actually kind of bummed out and shocked by Jill's multiple accounts of the cyberbullying that she encountered as she was coming up through the ranks as a newly qualified instructor and cave explorer. The name calling, the sexism, the misogynistic comments, and all of this to a bona fide superstar of our sport. What hope does a newly minted open water diver with a question have? And again, I have to come back to the training agency RAID as one of those groups within scuba diving who are leading the way. What RAID have said to their professional members is, if you are caught engaging in cyberbullying attacks online, we will throw you out on your ear. You will no longer be a part of this organization. PADI, SDI, SSI, NAUI, all the other ones, This should be the golden rule. So my number one fix to help turn around this scuba recession is no more fighting, no more bickering, no more my way is better than your way, no more cyberbullying. We need to stop it. We need to cut it all out, not just for the health of our current members, but also to make the sport attractive to new divers again. Challenge number 2 is the instructor training system. I believe that the instructor development system is broken, and the reason that I believe this is because of the 22 people that were in my instructor development course, or IDC, only 2 of them that I'm aware of, myself and one other, are still full-time employed as professional dive instructors. That is a horrendous attrition rate. Imagine if that happened in any other industry like plumbing or electrical or whatever, where you had that drop off in a trade skill. But what's happening is IDC centers are taking the money, selling the dream, and just pumping out instructors. And what we're ending up with is a huge employment pool where there's tons of instructors for every job. But most of those instructors are not actually dedicated to being a professional dive instructor. They just want to do it for a couple of years and then go and get a real job. How does that help the sport of scuba diving when being a professional dive instructor is not considered a real job? I mean, that wouldn't happen. Like, what do? I'm a high school basketball coach. Oh, when are you going to get a real job? In order to fix this problem, we need to make the requirements to get into an instructor development course much stricter and much higher. Right now, anyone who's a DM with 100 dives can become an instructor. So why wouldn't you do it? It's that easy to get in. In addition to that, we need more in-depth instructor courses. They need to be teaching us supplemental skills that you actually need to survive in the dive industry that are nothing to do with diving, like marketing or accounting or sales. All of these skills are essential to being a successful dive instructor, and yet none of the dive agencies teach these skills to newly qualified instructors, which in turn is why they struggle when they get a job as a dive instructor at a dive center. They're like, okay, we need you to run this social marketing campaign. I have no idea how to do that. I haven't been taught or shown. Well, then you're underprepared for the job, because that is a big part of being a dive instructor. And I know that at least one of my dear friends agrees with me on this point. I'd like to read a statement by a friend, a colleague, and just a super experienced tech instructor by the name of Mr. Mark Rowe, who works for Rubicon Dive Center in Lanzarote. I'm reading this with Mark's permission. Mark says, in the current climate, I think pushing to get business, money from individuals seeking to become instructors, when most of the world's diving instructors have no work, or worse, have been fired to save paying them during the pandemic, and giving those IDC candidates hope, is wrong. Aligned with the fact that tourism will take months to return to normality, and that tourists are likely to have less money available because of their own financial problems, the industry is in free fall right now. If you are seeking to become a scuba instructor, know that there is no living the dream. There never was. It's hard work with high risk and pay that sees new instructors living from paycheck to paycheck. Most new instructors bounce out of the pro instructor business within 24 months of completing their IDC and IE. That's instructor exam. It is, however, a great job if you want to do it. Just be aware of the truths. There will be time to do your IDC and become a scuba instructor. That time is not now. IDC centers should be encouraging those already in the industry with their greater experience to stay in it to help build it. IDC centers can run specialty workshops for instructors to enhance their employment potential. And I'd like to add to that, as I said, run a marketing workshop, run an accounting workshop, teach people how to use QuickBooks. There are skills that dive instructors need that IDCs at the moment don't cater to, but I believe need to. Look guys, I don't want to stomp on anyone's dream here. If you're kept awake at night by the thought of not being able to teach scuba diving, if it's all you want to do in life, absolutely go and do your IDC as soon as you can. We want people like you in the industry, okay? What I'm trying to avoid is these 22 IDC candidates, only 2 of which are actually serious about becoming dive instructors. We don't need the other 20. If you're one of the 2 that all you can do in life, the only thing you ever want to do is teach scuba diving, please do your IDC. Please, we will welcome you. But what we don't need is to saturate the market with uncommitted instructors, because I've got too many friends right now who have either been laid off or furloughed by small dive centers because they can't afford to retain them as staff. And these guys are already in the industry, they're already experienced, and you're not going to be able to compete with them for jobs. The third challenge I've got for you today, ladies and gentlemen, is we need to make scuba cool again. As a professional in this industry, I find it very hard to measure scuba diving success unless we compare it against other sports, because we're competing against those sports for members, for participants. Other adventure sports, climbing, hiking, skiing, they're technical, they require specialist equipment, they're outdoorsy, they attract a certain mindset of people who are environmentally conscious. We're drawing from the same demographic. So if it's December and there's 6 feet of powder in Aspen, how do you convince that person not to go skiing, but instead go to Cozumel and go scuba diving? That's how I view scuba diving in terms of as a sport and as a growth. It's not about how do I sell an open water diver an advanced course or an advanced diver a rescue course or whatever. It's how do I get that open water diver into our sport instead of having them spend money in other sports. Now, the regular viewers of this channel will know that I live in South Florida. South Florida is one of the scuba diving capitals of the world. We have fantastic diving year round here. Just north of where me and my wife live is a shopping mall, and in that shopping mall there is a North Face store and a Columbia store. Those are hiking, climbing, outdoor adventure brands, if you're not familiar. I don't know how much you know about the geography of South Florida. Not great skiing here, not great hiking. We're mainly swampland filled with venomous creatures. So how come we don't have a Dive Right store in that mall? How come we don't have a Fourth Element or a Scuba Pro or an Aqualung store in that mall? I see non-climbers wearing North Face and Columbia brands all the time. Why? Because they're cool. So how do we make scuba diving cool again? Well, number one, point number one, let's stop arguing and bickering amongst ourselves, and then we'll be a little bit cooler automatically. We need to drive scuba diving with media behind us. The reason that North Face and Columbia are cool, and the reason that non-climbers and non-hikers want to wear those brands, is because we all watched Free Solo and we got to see a ropeless Alex Hanold scurry up El Cap like a half jacked off gibbon. And what was he wearing? North Face, Columbia, etc. So those brands have instant appeal because you're seeing someone do something amazing and that's what they're wearing. Where are the scuba diving documentaries? Every time you see scuba diving in the news or anytime there's a documentary, it's because somebody died. Why can't we produce a documentary like Free Solo? We can, and I will. The best piece of scuba news in recent times was, of course, the brave exploits of the Thai footballers' cave rescue. But even then, that's a disaster story. A couple of the rescuers died. So in summary then, we need to stop infighting, bickering and cyberbullying in our sport and welcome new members with open arms and answer their questions. Number two, we need less instructors, but retain the more dedicated ones by giving them job skills that apply outside of actually scuba diving, including accounting, marketing, social media management, etc. And thirdly, we need to up the profile of our sport by having more positive media interactions and building the brands that support our sport and make us cool again. As always, ladies and gentlemen, with the Mouthpiece Mondays, this is my chance to vent and to share with you my honest opinions. Please let me know in the comments below, what do you think are the biggest challenges facing our sport? What do you think about the comments I've made about the 3 challenges I've highlighted? And what do you think we can do to grow scuba diving, this amazing pastime that we all love? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. We really do appreciate each and every one of you. And if you enjoyed this video, give it the old thumbs up and share it with your scuba diving buddies. My name's James. Until I see you next time, this was your Divers Ready Mouthpiece Monday for this week. Dive safe and dive as soon as you can, guys.